Welcome to Career Zone BK. Today, we are going to learn Bihar general knowledge in just a few minutes with smart tricks and easy explanations. Let's get started.
All right, let's dive into the Indian state of Bihar. We're talking about a place that was once the absolute heart of ancient empires, a real cradle of global religions. We're going to break down its incredible history, its super vibrant culture, and what it's trying to achieve today, to give you a complete picture of this fascinating, complex place.
But first, before we even get to a map, let's start with just one number that tells a huge part of the story. Third. Bihar is the third largest state in India by population. Just let that sink in. That sheer human scale is absolutely central to understanding everything else, its challenges, its potential, its entire story.
So here's our game plan for today. We'll kick things off with a quick snapshot, the basics. Then we'll journey back through its monumental history. After that, we'll get into its geography and people, dive into its awesome culture, and finally, we'll look at the modern state and where it's headed. Okay, Section 1, a snapshot. Let's just get our bearings and look at the fundamentals. So here it is. Bihar is a landlocked state, right, in the eastern part of India. You can see it's surrounded, Uttar Pradesh to the west, Jharkhand to the south, and West Bengal over to the east. But, and this is crucial, look north. It shares a big international border with Nepal.
Let's break down some of the vitals here. The capital is Patna, a city with, wow, just layers and layers of ancient history. In terms of size, it's the 12th largest in India. And that foundation day, March 22nd, 1912, that's a really big deal. That's the day Bihar was carved out of the massive Bengal region under British rule and became its own province.
All right, Section 2, Echoes of History. And believe me, the story of this land hasn't just shaped the region, it's had a massive impact on the entire subcontinent.
This timeline just gives you a taste of the historical depth we're talking about. Yeah, you see its modern formation in 1912, but go back centuries. It was the power base for the legendary Sher Shah Suri. It's the birthplace of Guru Gobind Singh, the 10th Sikh guru. And in the 1800s, it was a hotbed for major rebellions. This land has literally been shaped by empires, faith, and revolution.
Ever wonder where the name Bihar even comes from? Well, it's a direct callback to its ancient past. It comes from the Sanskrit word vihar, which just means monastery. The whole area was once so packed with these Buddhist centers of learning that the name just stuck. Over time, Vihar morphed into Bihar. Pretty cool, right?
Okay, Section 3, Land, Rivers, and People. Let's get into the natural and human landscape here, which is completely defined by these enormous rivers that create these super fertile plains, which in turn support that massive population we talked about.
You can't talk about Bihar's geography without talking about its rivers. They are the absolute lifeblood. At the very heart of it all is the mighty Ganga, flowing from west to east, basically slicing the state in two. And it's fed by this whole network of tributaries, some, like the Gandak and Kosi, flowing down from the Himalayas, and others, like the Sun, coming up from the southern plateau. So it's not just one big flat area. Geographically, you can really break Bihar into three distinct parts. Way up in the northwest, you've got a little piece of the Himalayan foothills, the Shivalik Range. The huge middle section is the Bihar Plain, that incredibly fertile land we just mentioned. And then down south, the land starts to rise into a hilly plateau region. Now, what about the people living on this land? Well, this data from the 2011 census tells a really important story about one of the state's big development challenges. The overall literacy was around 62%, but look closer and you see this pretty big gap between male and female literacy. Tackling that gap has been a huge focus of state programs ever since. Section 4, and one of my favorite parts, a vibrant culture. Let's dive into the symbols, the arts, and of course, the flavors that make Bihar's culture so rich. You can learn a ton about a place just from its state symbols. And here, you see this amazing mix of the everyday and the profound. You've got the simple house sparrow and the powerful ox, showing its farming roots. But then you have the sacred Bodhi tree, a direct link to the Buddha, who found enlightenment right here. And that spiritual depth shines through in Chhath, the massive festival for the sun god that is just core to Bihari identity. And listen, you just cannot talk about Bihar without talking about its most famous food, litti chokha. It's the steak dish, and for good reason. Just picture these little dough balls stuffed with spiced gram flour, roasted over a fire, and served with this incredible mash of eggplant, potatoes, and tomatoes. It is hearty, rustic, and absolutely the taste of Bihar.
Beyond the amazing food, Bihar's culture is just bursting with performance arts. There are so many unique folk dances for different occasions, and it feels like there's a song for every single moment of life. Songs for the seasons, songs for celebrating a new baby, and epic ballads telling tales of ancient heroes.
Okay, Section 5, the modern state. So we've seen the history and the culture. Now let's fast forward to today and look at the economy and the big plans shaping Bihar's future. So what's power in Bihar's economy right now? Well, this chart from 2021-22 breaks it down pretty clearly. The lion's share, over 60%, comes from the services sector. But, and this is really important, look at the primary sector, mostly agriculture. It's still more than a fifth of the whole economy, which shows you just how vital farming still is for millions of people.
A huge part of Bihar's recent development story is this program called Sat Nishchay, which means 7 resolves. You can see some of the main goals right here. It's not just vague ideas. These are clear, practical targets, like empowering the youth, reserving jobs for women, and making sure every single home gets continuous electricity and tap water.
And if you want to see proof that things are really happening, just look at this number. In 2021-22, the transport and communication sector in Bihar grew by a staggering 20.4%. And get this, that wasn't just good for Bihar. That was the highest growth rate for that sector in the entire country. That's a huge sign of investment and progress.
So when you put it all together, what you get is this land of incredible contrasts. It's carrying the weight of this immense history, being a cradle of empires and religions, while at the same time, it's pushing so hard toward the future with these really clear goals. It's a state that knows exactly where it came from, but is intensely focused on where it's going next.
And that kind of leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? Bihar's story has always been about evolution, from the intellectual peaks of ancient Nalanda University to the very practical ambitions of the 7 resolves today. So as it keeps building on this unbelievably rich legacy, the real question is, what new stories, what new achievements are going to define its next chapter?
This was the complete Bihar GK snapshot in just a few minutes. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Career Zone BK for more such smart learning videos. Keep learning, keep growing.